Yeah, I'll tweet out this. Yeah.
Brian Robb, J. King, and Sam Packard present Still Potable, Still Potable, Boston Celtics, Still Potable, Still Potable. Oh yeah! Still Potable, Still Potable, Boston Celtics, Still Potable, Still Potable. And a 19. Jalen Brown, D. White, Crazy Joe, Still Potable, Still Potable. When Tatum coming back, Still Potable, Still Potable, Still Potable, Still Potable. Boston Celtics, Still Potable, Still Potable. Oh yeah!
Come on, don't get the next generation. Guy wants a win.
Let's go, you motherfucking Celtics. Let's go, baby. Let's go. You motherfucking Celtics, let's go.
Let's go, baby! Welcome back to Still Potable, the world's best Celtics podcast, the best Celtics podcast here on Al Gore's internet. We are part of the CLNS Broadcast Network. Means we are brought to you today by Prize Picks. Use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you spend your first $5. We are Still Potable. That is Jay King from The Athletic. He has 10 years of experience covering your Boston Celtics. That is Brian B. Robb from the Boston Celtics.
10. Why are we underselling me?
10 plus years. 10 plus years.
There you go.
Brian B. Robb also has 10 plus years of covering the Boston Celtics. He a beat reporter for MassLive.com. I am Sam Jam Packard, and I've been talking nonsense about the Boston Celtics also for 10 plus years. Together, we are Still Potable, the best Celtics podcast.
I mean, we have more than 30 years of experience together.
That is the brilliant mathematics from Jay King that you will be getting on every episode. We got 2 free episodes for you every single week here on CLNS and every single place you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple. But we got so much more for you than that if you join us on our Patreon, patreon.com/stillpotable. We got game recaps. We got mailbags. We got listener chat that's popping off during the games. We got behind the scenes at every game and every practice because B-Rob and Jay are covering this team better than anyone else. And I'm here just cracking wise, making jokes, and we would really appreciate it if you guys join us along for the ride. We are 14 games into the Celtics season. The Celtics are 500 again, folks. That's great stuff. That's phenomenal stuff. And you know what? They might even go 2 games above 500 with 2 games up against the lowly Brooklyn Nets. Bit of a scary game. They almost gave up a James Harden miracle comeback there on Sunday, but they are back in 500 again. And I think the thing that is the best sign for the Boston Celtics so far, Jay, is that Derek White and Peyton Pritchard learned how to shoot. Like, that is the best sign if you were a Celtics fan. You knew it was coming, but it seems like they've taken a step and gotten themselves back on the right track.
Uh-oh. Peyton remembered how to putt. It's a big step. Big step forward for those guys. Obviously, they weren't going to shoot as poorly as they did to start the season forever. They're too good at shooting. Like Peyton Pritchard, we could say what we want about his new role, and it's totally different. It's absolutely different. The defensive attention is new. It wasn't like he was taking easy shots last year. It wasn't like people were leaving him wide open last year. Those shots were going to go down. They've started to go down lately. Celtics need him to continue to go down because, like, they don't really have too many layers to this offense. It's very much a jump shooting offense, whether it's mid-range, 3-pointers. They don't get to the rim a lot.
It's not even 3-pointers anymore. They're a mid-range team now. After all, talking about Missoula
mid-range
ball,
and 3. I mean, they shoot a ton of threes still.
Their mid-range
mid-range
attempt rate is so much higher this year than it was in past seasons because they just don't have the guys to be jacking threes. Even though they're still getting up a lot, it's just like they're taking a lot of mid-range. No one said
I haven't checked the numbers after the Clippers game, but before the Clippers game, they ranked dead last in location effective field goal percentage. So they basically have the worst shot selection in the entire league, according to the metrics at cleaningtheglass.com. That's not ideal, but also you can kind of get away with that because you do have a bunch of great shooters. You do have, guys who are hitting the glass are much better at offensive rebound rate now, and they lead the league in taking care of the ball. and not turning the ball over. So that's been a huge deal for them so far. The offense has been, despite the location effective field goal percentage, has been top 10 in the league so far, even with Pritchard and White really struggling to find their footing. And now that they're getting going, maybe the Celtics touch another level soon, especially with Brooklyn coming up, because Brooklyn is not really an NBA team at this point.
They might have the best offense in the NBA after this week, after 2 games with Brooklyn, just based on what that defense looks like. Yeah, it's crazy they're here too from the standpoint they're dead last in free throw rate in the NBA. So it's not just like those guys are shooting, like they're doing enough other stuff well within the offense. And it's not a huge surprise that they're kind of bottom of the barrel league in that category. You know, Jalen's been getting to the line, but White probably is, and Simons are the other 2 guys you would expect to help in that department. And both those guys haven't done much there yet, but it's the case for optimism is there for the offense, certainly, when you put all these factors into play and getting out of a tough early season schedule stretch with a 500 record here, despite those, pitfalls.
B-Rob, I mean, the numbers look good in terms of like where this team ranks in net rating and efficiency. Kirk Goldsberry puts out the little graph with it, and they're in the correct quadrant. I mean, but they're also not great in clutch games. They almost gave up that game to the Clippers and gave up a ridiculous good look from James Harden. But like, what do you think is more real at this point? Is it the kind of solid net rating efficiency numbers, or is it the shaky offense down the stretch of these games? Like, if they are perfectly at 500 right now, are you a Celtics optimist or a Celtics pessimist?
I lean more towards optimist, to be honest, which is not the place I thought we'd be at this point. But their expected win-loss is like they should have a couple more wins, and that's based on the crunch time stuff that we've gone over before. But you look at what they're getting right now, and they're finding stuff, whether it's Jordan Walsh, whether it's just other random wings. Like, they're getting more out of the bench than I thought it would, or the majority of the bench. We can get into some guys that they're not getting as much out of, but when you're getting kind of found money with stuff, questionable pieces, and then you have the more reliable pieces kind of rounding into form, that makes me think like, okay, like there is the case for some upside here. And I don't know, Jay, like you're highly optimistic on the defense before the year, and I think that's honestly been as, if not more consistent than the offense so far, outside of a couple of opponents where they just have no answer for, big guys in the offensive glass.
The one unrealized downside right now is health.
True.
They've all been available every single game, all their key guys. I think the stat is right now, when they're 4 full-time starters, not the Jordan Walsh, Josh Minot, the rotating spot there, Sam Hauser, the 4 other guys, and I believe it was John Schumann who had this in his piece. When those guys are all on the court, Celtics are plus 22.7 net rating. And when one of them, just one of them, is off the court, they're like minus 1.7. So it's like when everybody's out there, things look good. They're still, those are the championship guys. Though not Neemi, but the other 3 are the championship guys, and Neemi is the center who stepped up.
We'll get to Neemi.
The center who stepped up.
Not the step center, but the center who stepped up.
The center who stepped up, exactly. And but like just one of those pieces come out and then it kind of crumbles. So I still think there could be like a really bad stretch if one of their main guys are out. But right now everybody's playing and they're figuring some stuff out. And I think there's a lot of upside too. Like, they're only beginning to figure things out with the wing rotation. They're only beginning to get, Ugo and Josh Minot and Jordan Walsh. Those guys are only beginning to get experience. The crunch time issues, they're 3 and 5 in crunch time games. They could very easily have at least 2 more wins, like just box out one time and go to overtime and get a win in overtime. They've had 2 collapses against the 76ers in the fourth quarter. They could absolutely be better than they have been so far record-wise. and I still think like there's a lot for this team to mine still, and so that's the good stuff. But yeah, there's still it's far more top heavy than this team has been in a while, and the bench has been kind of hit or miss.
Other things that they need to improve, and I think we talked about this last week, and I think we're going to continue talking about it unless they find a miraculous way to figure
Coach
it out.
Barbosa is technically right. Nemi was a champ too, just didn't play much in those.
Had some good minutes beginning last year. First
That's
month
fair.
when Porzingis was, or at least according to me and Jay. I don't know about Jam though.
Was last year a championship year, B-Rob?
Oh, excuse me, 2 years ago. My bad. But point still stands.
The problem with this Celtics team is like the margin for error is so small, and they just give up. They're a minus 7 or 8 in free throws every single game, and so I think Joe was asked about this recently about the rate of fouls, and he seemed to dismiss it because like they're generating a bunch of turnovers, and we've mentioned that, and then they need to improve on transition. I think, Jay, you asked him before the Sixers game what they needed to do to improve in transition, and he said score more baskets. So that was helpful from Joe.
It was very helpful. It's good. Score more.
I hadn't figured it out then. But what do they do about the fouling? Because like I think we boil it down to like some of the fouls are fine, and then some of the fouls are bad fouls. Does Joe start I just don't know how do you stop bad fouling when you are up? When you were playing this aggressive, and how do you kind of make that distinguishing factor? Just because
I think, honestly, you have to get used to them fouling.
I'm not used to it. I don't like it.
Some of the fouls won't be what you're used to, but that's just going to be how it is. Before one of the Orlando games, Joe said that they actually looked at the correlation between fouling more and forcing more turnovers. And one of the teams that they looked at was Orlando, which I believe led the league in foul rate last year, which means you were the worst. You fouled all the time, but also was second best behind Oklahoma City at forcing turnovers. And the physicality that they played with, it bothered the Celtics. Like it took them out of their rhythm. It disrupted what they want to do. And so the Celtics looked at the teams that gave them problems and that annoyed them. And now they're one of those annoying teams that gets up under you, and if you turn your back, there's somebody coming from behind you. That sounded crazy, and
it's true.
And they're shooting the gap, trying to get steals. They're just taking more risks than they used to, and going after more steals. And yeah, that's going to lead to some more fouls. So I think Joe is being genuine when he says that he's okay with a certain level of fouls, but obviously there's some that you have to eliminate. Luka Garza averaging 10 fouls per 36 minutes or whatever it is, not ideal. I think it was 10 per 100 possessions. It's like 7 or 8 per 36 minutes.
But he plays so hard. Did you see the stat? Noah from Celtics blog tweeted out that he has been the fastest player on the Celtics this year. They're clocking like his miles per hour. Would you have ever guessed it was Luka Garza? You might have do that just from how hard he runs, but would you have thought he's the fastest player on the Celtics, B-Rob?
No.
I just don't believe it. I just don't believe it at all.
I want to check those numbers.
Well, a lot of the time, the better players have less.
They're more in control.
Yeah. Whereas he's running to the rim every single possession and trying to beat everybody down court, and then he's always under the rim trying to get an offensive rebound, and then so you got to sprint back the other way, all the way to the rim, and so that's why he
built up that momentum.
Steps. Yeah,
builds up that momentum,
and then he's got to run somewhere and hack somebody. And so you add it all up, and you end up moving pretty fast.
I don't know if we want to get to the Nemi numbers yet, Packard, but the other thing when we talk about this fouling now, I do wonder in the evolution of the Celtics defense, like they're going to stay attacking, going for more turnovers now, but like the emergence of Jordan Walsh and just like all why not, like especially with that starting group, like that starting group is pretty sound defensively now, it seems like, in these last 3 or 4 games where they don't have to be probably as crazy aggressive as they want to be. Like, selective aggression there. Like, I don't know, like it's like that's with Walsh and Neemi in the mix there, that's becoming a pretty stout group. Just be able to hold its own in matchups across the board, it feels like, against most teams right now.
Well, let's take a break and hear from our friends at Prize Picks before diving into those Neemi numbers. Prize Picks is the best place to be right. You know, there's a basketball season has started, and Prize Picks is a place where you can have a lot of fun watching sports. Prize Picks now offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on Jaylen Brown's points, 3-pointers, and assists, now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone who picks you like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is you can play in the most flexible manner possible. You can choose flex play, where you get paid even if one of your picks misses, or for the biggest payouts, go to the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Download Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right. Now, fellas, I mean, we're talking about fouling. This guy has not really fouled. He's had 2 foul trouble games this entire season, something I thought he would struggle with. But every single number you look at with Neemias Queta, he's like, he's the top 10 in the league in terms of plus minus. And everyone else on that top 10 list is in the Thunder, Nuggets, or Knicks. Like Neemi, and he played, I think, 33 minutes against the Clippers, and they needed all 33 of those minutes. He's been absolutely phenomenal, and they just need him on the court more. I think Garza's actually come along and played some, I guess, decent backup center minutes. But Jay, you mentioned the whole roster kind of goes down when you take Neemi off the court. It's not just the 3 established stars, the 3 established champs, but Neemi has been fantastic. Do you guys do you see him ramping up? Do you see him becoming like a 30-minute a game player at this point? Because it kind of feels like they need him if they're going to be put together some sustained success this year, which is not a statement I expected to say at all heading into the season.
They could use more Neemi. It's so funny how you've come all the way around on Neemi.
I got eyes, Jay. I can see what's going on. I can see all the statistics.
You were the world's biggest Neemi hater, to the point where last year, when people were starting to get excited about Neemi, you had like a 5-minute flip out about everything. You crashed out on the podcast because people were excited about Neemi, and you did not want anyone to be excited about Neemi. The one thing I would say about his plus minus numbers is that he has played more than 200 of his 344 total minutes with the 3 best players on the team in Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard all alongside him. So that is a huge help to his numbers, and nothing necessarily that he's doing. Do I think that he's been much better than their other centers? Yes. Do I think that he's come a long way? Yes. Do I think that he's helped shore up their rebounding issues to some extent and given them a threat at the rim that they don't really have otherwise? Absolutely. But when you play with those 3 guys, you're bound to have your numbers look better than Luka Garza, for example, who comes in and a lot of the time plays with bench units. And sometimes it's like Joe's throwing out there all bench units. So that's like the one qualifier to the Neemi talk that I would put out there. Other than that, he's just done what they need him to do. He's setting screens. He hasn't made many defensive mistakes. It's not like you're watching and like, oh, Neemi had another breakdown. No, he's been pretty solid. Other than that one Orlando game where he missed the layup and then had the transition take foul that cost them pretty dearly. I believe it was a 4-point possession for the Magic and turned a 4-point game into an 8-point game when he could have cut it to 2. other than that, like and the Utah game when he allowed Yusuf Nurkic to grab the rebound over him and end the game. Like Nemi has limited the mistakes, and I think that's the biggest piece. If he can just be solid, he's good enough and talented enough that to help. And he's got like all these guys. Like it's amazing to me how good big men are in the NBA at the little floater. But Nemi's got great touch on that little shot in the middle. He's shown nice passing in the short roll. He's shown nice passing at other times. Chris Forsberg is all about the screen assist stat, which I think is kind of an overrated. Coach Barbosa and I are beefing today. The screen assist is often like, are you screening for somebody good? Like he sets a lot of screens for Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White, who are
Can you just say that about assists too? Are you passing the ball to somebody good? Like, how do you disaggregate what's a good screen? Like, assist is
he's the big man setting screens for the Celtics starters, and thus he gets more screen assists than other guys.
It's fair.
Like the way this offense is, those guys are creating a lot of stuff for themselves off the dribble, and Nemi's the one setting the screens. And I don't want to poo-poo this because he's been a good screen setter, and it's been a huge part of the Celtics offense. And
I feel like he's toned down the obvious.
I just feel like some of these things need qualifiers.
He's toned down the obvious offensive foul screen in bad moments. He's only done that a couple times this year.
That has been a big help, actually. It felt like that was like consistent last year, and
that would lead to the foul trouble.
It would lead to the foul trouble. It would stop runs. And he's gotten away from that, and it's been a pretty big deal.
Part of me, though, when looking at all this Nemi love here, makes me, and I don't want to diminish what he's been very good this year. Like what a solid defensive backup center would look like with this team.
Oh,
like
one you should ask,
right? I mean, like, and I don't know if that will be a segue, but it is like Garza is working hard. He's hitting the offensive glass. He's putting up numbers, but he also fouled out in 14 minutes. And defensively, they're falling apart there. And a lot of it is because it's not just it's like the pieces going from the first unit to the second unit defensively is a drop off at multiple positions, as the numbers show there. But you wonder what like how big that gap would be if there was some, better or bigger talent, I could say, in that spot that obviously the Celtics didn't really have access to given their spending restrictions this offseason.
Okay, first I want to point out that I come in celebrating Nemi, and Jay makes fun of me for my pivot, and then both of you guys detract from Nemi. You both say he should not get as much credit because he's playing with the starters.
I'm not poop. I said I'm not poo-pooing.
I just want to put context that makes it seem like he's less than. Is what
there is no poo-pooing going on here. He ranks 8th in the league in offensive rebound rate. Like that is a huge deal to this Celtics team. They need those extra possessions. He has been huge on the glass, and he's doing it in the starting lineup against the other team's best players. This guy has been legit. He gives them a totally different layer as a lob catcher, as a threat down low that they just don't have otherwise. Garza has produced, but does it sort of well below the rim. And Nemi is he gives them a totally different layer. I'm not poo-pooing. I'm just giving context to some of the stats that I've seen floating around out there.
Is this best case scenario for him through like 14 games? Like, could you have hoped for anything more from Nemi at this point? Outside of the rebounding blunders
that rebound. That's one.
Right. That's a tough one.
Best case scenario.
But numbers wise, obviously the analytics of it, but like in terms of a night to night being able to handle it, like if anything, everyone's like, why should he be playing a little bit more here? And we'll see if they build him up a little bit more on that front as the season goes on. And we'll see obviously where the trajectory of the season goes as we get 30, 40, 50 games in here, but he's certainly making the case for it.
And he showed in the Clippers game, he played 33 minutes.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know if it was a career high, but it was a season high. And just the second time that he's played at least 30 minutes so far. And it's important. It's important that he's able to play more minutes because like we've said, the backup there's been a big drop to the backups. And
It is a
Carson's
career high.
produced offensively lately. Yeah, and I think for Neemias, it's just going to take time to get in that type of shape, to get ready, get used to these minutes. He's always been a bit player. He was a fourth string center. And so all these crunch time reps, all these big minutes, he's not used to any of it. And they're also playing a style that's very difficult, I'm sure, for bigs to play. Like they're playing fast, they're getting up and down.
He's
they're being
guarded on the
aggressive
perimeter.
defensively. He has to. We've talked about the screen assist. He is screening all over the place, and so they're not easy minutes. So for him to be able to play 33 minutes, that's a big deal. And if and when they get to the playoffs, they'll need more of that from Neemi.
I still can't believe the Kings dumped him for JaVale McGee a couple years ago.
But think about that sentence. I can't believe the Kings, and then
Yeah, true. I mean, I can't believe the Kings did that. This is probably 8th on their list of dumb moves of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Celtics give the Celtics front office credit. They're in position to kind of swoop them up there, and now a couple years later, get him in the system, wait his turn essentially, and now he's ready to rock. And this is an area where I think we've all thought to be a far bigger drop off than there has been at this position, at least with the starting five.
What if you didn't have to rely on just Neemi for 20 minutes a game? Now, this is it's 14...
Can we just talk about the bigs they kept instead? Alex Len, JaVale McGee,
oh, going back to Kings.
Philip Petrusev.
Patrick.
These were the guys they were like, can't keep Neemi.
Hey, Alex Len's a former top 10 pick.
Sasha Vezenkov. Actually, he left the NBA, I believe, for other reasons. But these guys were just keeping around some weird names and some older guys like JaVale McGee, who probably should have been looking for somebody to develop for the future, like Neemi.
Yeah, the Kings, not a good franchise. All right, I'm the fan on this podcast, so I'm going to submit what I'm going to call irrational, dumb trade idea. So far, it's a great comment.
That's a funny comment. Cement galoshes. Galoshes is just a great word.
I mean, who doesn't like a nice galosh? All right, so I was looking at this Nets 2 games coming up, and I'm thinking, you know what? What if they had a better backup center? I've also seen Anthony Simons struggling, and he played 8 minutes against the Clippers. I think our friend on the network, 12, John Zanis, described him as a completely broken player. And so I started thinking, what would happen if the Celtics tried to trade Anthony Simons for the Nets' Nick Claxton? Now, I don't think you can do just that, because what's in that for the Nets? They get an expiring contract. They don't want anything like that. And I don't really want to give up a first-round pick, but I thought maybe a first-round pick would do it. But you know what? The Celtics might have a very good pick this year. They might have good picks down the future. And then I thought of another player who's got some value on the Celtics roster, but is struggling this season. And so, B-Rob, what are your thoughts on a Sam Hauser plus Anthony Simons to the Nets for Nick Claxton deal? Saves the Celtics about $12 million, and you get about a center platoon of Nick Claxton and Neemias Queta. We're giving up 2 guys who haven't really given you anything this year off the bench.
I like where your head's at, Packard, in terms of the salary you're going after. I'm not sold on Nick Claxton being the final piece, final big salary piece you can add to this roster, though. I think the skill set, ideally you want a big who can at least shoot a little bit in this role with this.
That's fair. He's kind of repetitive to Neemi. They're kind of the both style of player. And
so I don't know, maybe is that guy out? It's going to be hard. Maybe it's going to be hard to find that guy at a way that a guy that's can attain for what they have. So maybe you eventually the best decision is all right, have a solid center for 48 minutes and have a guy like Claxton and Neemi be able to handle that. But in my mind, I would rather wait around and try to find that shooter. Like you're not in a big rush to find that guy yet. And Hauser right now is at a real tough stretch, but I think he's obviously a proven commodity. You expect him to come out of it, and you hope that he builds up some more value where you can either you have him here knowing that he can fit back in with everyone next year, or if that's going to be a piece of the puzzle, you can do better. Just simply from a skill fit perspective.
Jay, how irrational am I in giving up on Hauser this early, 14 games in the season?
Your bigger irrationality is trying to go after Nick Claxton, who not only is a pretty flawed player who can't shoot at all and is like a 6'9" center, and he's listed at 6'11", 215, very, very slim, very slender, can get overpowered, and doesn't give you like any stretch level. He's also making 20 something million through the 27-28 season.
But doesn't he get you under the tax if you do that deal this year?
Hamstrings you in the future. And
I
would not be. Well, yeah, you should be trying to cut salary, but you should not be trying to take on additional salary for a backup big. Or someone who would ideally be a backup big for a championship team. That should not be the type of salary you're looking to add through to 2027, 2028. I don't think that's a great contract. I don't think that's the type of player you should want to add if you're going to be spending that much money. And this would be a no for me.
Yeah.
And a pretty emphatic no.
It's the interesting part about where the Celtics are at with, whether you want to dodge the tax or not this year, we'll see if they end up doing that. But Simon's salary and Hauser's salary, those are your last big pieces to add something to the championship score. So, like, if you move them, that's pretty much it in terms of what this team is going to have, barring obviously a bigger move, Stars or Dirk. So, I would say, like, redundancy of Claxton to Neemias skills. Like, you want to play a player like Claxton $5 to $10 million a year, not 20 to 25, which is the rest of his deal. So I think you aim higher for this type of player you go after, knowing that if you're going to package a first round pick or more, or attach a guy like Sam Hauser to a deal, you want to aim higher than Claxton in my mind. But he's certainly going to be available like the rest of that Nets roster, any veteran on that Nets roster. But I don't know if anyone there is going to interest you guys. We got in the chat here, Bio4, any sharp interest to you guys at all?
Nope.
As just like,
the contract $6.25 million a year, but like I'm just looking for an upgrade at the center position and the only tradable assets you have are Simons and I think Hauser at this point. And so I just want the team on the court to be better this year. And maybe that's a foolish desire considering it treating this year basically like a gap year. But I just think that if they could not it feels like if they want to be successful, they need Neemi to play 28 minutes plus every game. And just like, maybe I still have latent Queta in my body, but like, I just can't just think that's a sustainable path forward. And it's not. And I want to win, baby. I want to win.
You're too focused on winning right now.
Of course. I watch all these games.
Focused on winning right now. When Jason Tatum is out, the Celtics are right now a 500 team. They've played a little better than 500. They probably should be better than 500. But this is not a title contending team. And Tatum coming back probably won't be full strength. Probably will not be a title contending team. So you should not be making win now moves. You should not be making moves to solidify this current roster. You should be looking for guys who can give this team a post-up threat because they have none. Somebody who can draw free throws because they don't draw any. Somebody who can give them a paint threat because they don't have it.
You're just describing some sort of mythical, magical player who doesn't exist.
Claxton is a versatile defender. He's a good rebounder. He can pass a little bit, but he doesn't solve any of the flaws that this team has other than like you would like a defensive a more defensive-minded big man off the bench. And you specifically would like Luka Garza's minutes to diminish a little bit.
That is correct.
Garza's had a couple good games now. But yeah, I just think it shouldn't be about yes, getting under the tax would be huge. And if you can accomplish that, absolutely go for it. But like trying to address the flaws on this current roster is not what the front office should be trying to do. They should be trying to keep the flexibility so that they can go after the types of players that finished their championship cast before, which is Kristaps, which is Drew Holiday, Al Horford. Those are the caliber guys you need, not Nick Claxton.
Kristaps might be available, I hear. I hear the Hawks are what do you think about bringing back Kristaps for one? Can they not do that because
they can't do that anyway? That you'll be hitting free agent. But
the Hawks have won 6 of 7. They're looking great. Kristaps has missed a couple of those games, but still.
I would love to see them go after a cheap like if we're at a point in 20 or 30 games from now and they're above 500 and they're looking, again, not a contender like Jay said, but find someone that could help you now and potentially help you in the future at that position, because you're not like Garza is a fun piece, but it's hard to foresee him being
I wouldn't
in a
describe
rotation
him as a
on
fun
it.
piece.
A fun piece on certain. It's a fun offensive piece, but realistically, is older. Does not look like he will be in a rotation on a contending team. So it's like if you can, I'd much rather have him as a third, fourth big as your second big, and they have him under contract next year. Obviously, he's going to be a nice depth piece. But would like to see an option at least be on the bench. Like what does this second unit look like with a solid defensive big man, just to see how much that helps everything else fall into place for now and potentially the future here. Because you're looking for that, obviously, and then the stretch centerpiece is certainly a long-term goal here that you're not going to invest in season here, I guess, unless you're making a splashy move.
Basically, I was trying to look for a deal to get rid of Simons, and because Simons, I just don't think has been at all consistent this year. You're still trying to get under the tax, and you need someone in the relative salary range of what is that, 26 or 27 that Simons makes this year. And so you're describing all these conditions for a trade that are just not really there. Where are we going to get a long-term piece on a cheap contract that's also a stretch big, but can also make a less money on a team that can take on Simons?
You're trying to solve all the problems at once in the same.
Of course, it's called hitting a home run. And if Brad Stevens taught me anything,
created
it's
more
always
problems.
swing for the fences.
Created more problems.
Brad Stevens always says, "You better hit dingers because singles."
I forgot how often he said to hit singles. He used to say that like every press conference almost. Just got to hit singles.
Okay, let's
all about hitting singles.
If you're right,
Tony Gwynn type.
But it is like how they use Simons will be fascinating. The debate would be like, do you use him simply to get under the tax eventually? If he doesn't build any value during this year, at which point you're probably gonna have to attach stuff to him to be able to do that, since no one's just gonna want to take that salary and then do less. Or do you use him to find this center of the future under those positions? And again, you have to attach other stuff to make that happen. Whether or not that's realistic doing this year, that's going to be a fascinating conundrum, and whether they want to keep him as a trade piece into the offseason is like, I don't know, sign trade stuff. I don't even know. And use other ways to try to cut salary / get under the tax. I think that's when you look at Hauser potentially as a way they try to do that. If Simons, if they can't find anything with Simons.
I mean, Basketball Jones says it right now. Simons' value is at its lowest it could be right now, and he's not blaming Joe Mazzulla. I mean, Jay, what do you do with Anthony Simons at this point? Because he's playing 12 minutes some games, and some games he comes in, he's absolute fireball, making 18 points in a row. So how do you deal with someone with that level of inconsistency?
I don't think it's really inconsistency. I think he's a very gifted scorer who mostly scores, and his defense is going to be lacking, especially compared to the other guys competing for those minutes, which are Josh Minott, Jordan Walsh, Ugo Gonzalez, the other backups. and Walsh, I guess he's a starter now. But the Celtics defense has been much better when those other guys are involved. Sometimes their offense is much better when Anthony Simons is out there. I don't think it's like inconsistency. I think this is just it's what he is. And like the Blazers got rid of him even though he was a young guard. And they did it after a year where his presence on the court didn't really help their beginning of forming like a solid core. And now the Celtics, I think, are seeing some of that same issue pop up.
Could people bring up John Morant in the chat? I don't think that's a guy who fits into the financial or the basketball plans for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I don't think Brad Stevens will be like, you know what? Let's go after Ja. Ja does not seem like a Brad Stevens guy. Brad is all about how do you help the team? Do you have no ego? Do you have utter selflessness at all times? Are you never going to be a
checking out on your
distraction?
team is not the best sign, and Ja seems to have completely checked out. Ja also
last few years haven't been super promising on any of those locker room fronts.
I'm not going to post the comment from Rich Phillips that he just posted, but that made me laugh. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here on Still Potable because we got more podcasting to do later in the week. They're playing the Nets. You guys are just going to be shocked when Nick Claxton goes for 20-20 tomorrow against the Boston Celtics. And if that happens, I will be here to celebrate. If you want more podcasts from us, if you want a recap of that Nets game, please go to our Patreon, patreon.com/stillpotable. Subscribe today. You'll get all the bonus coverage. You'll get the game recaps. You'll get mailbags, and you'll get the awesome Still Potable chat community that is popping off during the games. If you enjoy our podcast and just want to stick around for the free versions, we really appreciate it if you subscribe on Apple, Spotify. Give us a 5-star review. It really helps. And subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. We really appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll be back later this week with more Still Potable. And again, if you want even more Still Potable, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/stillpotable. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back later this week.
Still Potable, the Boston Celtics, still Potable.